What's up? What's up, y'all? Welcome back to State of the Auxiliary podcast, where we are usually live, but as we told you, we were going to start continuing to bring you those interviews we've been doing live, but during the football season, we will bring those recorded. As you can see, I am so sorry about that. As you can see, I am solo dolo today. Our guest host, our other co-host, Quay, is not available today. She is still sick. If you watched our live on Sunday, then you realize that she kind of left in the middle of the live because she was sick. So we're going to keep prayers up for Quay as she is continuing to get better and to get well. But we're going to continue the show because we have a great guest on for you today. Of course, if you could recognize who is in the flyer, then of course you know who is already about to come. But before we get to our guest, we quickly just want to remind you of a couple of things that we got going on today. So remember, there are a couple of camps that are going on or dance classes that can go on. So we want to quickly give you this information and then we're going to get right into our guests. So keep in mind, you can go to the HBCU Dance Intensive that's going to be happening in Houston, Texas, September 21st from 4 to 9 p.m. at Extreme Level. Or you could go to the Dallas version of that on Sunday, September 22nd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's 2 back-to-back days, Houston and Dallas. And you're going to be getting it from Motion of the Ocean Captain Kayla Skurlock and co-captain LaKayla Hernandez. They were captain and co-captain together, 20 through 21. Or 23, I'm sorry. So remember, it's going to be a $25 participation fee, and you can cash app that to Most Stallions. Please make sure you put your name in the notes area and bring you some water. Don't forget that the Feel Yourself Advanced Stand class, slow and medium, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. will be happening here at the Dallas Fieldhouse. It's going to be $15 each dancer, led by Coach Quay. That's right. Our co-host, Coach Quay, will be leading that. If you've been to one of her classes, you know she's going to make you sweat. So I suggest you bring you some water and some comfortable clothes and comfy shoes because it's going to be a strong class. All right. Thank y'all for those announcements. We're going to go ahead and get right on into our interview. So I'm so excited to be bringing you Under the Spotlight, talking with Neicie, the Diva. Okay, just kept the title real simple today, but we're going to be giving you a nice interview with Neicie. She was gracious enough to give us a little bit of her time. And y'all, this has been a while in the making, but we are glad that we've been able to do it because y'all know the girl is busy. She is doing great things, and so we respect everyone's time. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to our guest of the day, Miss Neicie French. Let me bring her up. Hey, Neicie.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Good. Look, thank you again for coming on the show. We appreciate you. I know it's been a work in the making. I kept telling you in the back scenes, I was like, we're going to connect one day. It's gonna happen. So look, I'm excited. Thank you for being able to grace us with a few moments of your time. So I'm not gonna delay. Go ahead. For those who may not know who you are or just may not have been watching your seasons and maybe you new to the band world, can you give us a brief background of who you are? And you can start before your college years, but a brief background of who you are and let the people know.
Of course. So hello, I am Niecie French. I go by Neicie. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. My dance journey pretty much started off at about 5, 6. I joined the studio. I was pretty much ballet, jazz, technical training. But I decided, Mama, I want to cheer. So I ended up cheering and doing gymnastics the majority of my childhood, through elementary, through middle school. And then I was like, I want to dance again. So I ended up doing a few community majorette teams, Leading Ladies of Nashville, Glamorous Golden Girls, where, we would compete and train long hours. And then I continued and ended up going to Nashville School of the Arts for high school, which is it's a performance-based high school. So you have acting, you have chorus, you have all different type of conservatories. But of course, I was in a dance conservatory, where I got a lot of my true technique. We trained day in and day out: ballet, jazz, modern, tap, hip hop, African, contemporary, modern, anything. Um, and yeah, so that was high school, and of course, being a young Black girl, um, and then being here with TSU, seeing the marching bands growing up, homecoming parades here in Nashville, like TSU is like a holiday. So
Mhm.
seeing that growing up, I knew that I wanted to eventually be a part of a marching band in college. So um, I started looking at colleges in towards the end of my high school year, because I'm like high school years, and I was like, okay, it's getting time. Like I gotta
Mhm.
try out. I stumbled upon A&M, a YouTube video. I'll never forget. It was Prairie View versus A&M. It was in a gym, and
Mhm.
Tamara was captain. And like everybody sees the swag bands all the time, but this one in particular, I was just like, I don't know who these people are. Like Alabama A&M, like what? What? These girls are different, and I was just drawn to the team. I was also drawn to the fact that I didn't know much about them. Um,
Mhm.
so that led me to do some deep digging and researching. And I was like, I really like this team. I could see that they're growing. And I think it would fit me. And I think that I could also grow here. So started doing my research on the team, started doing audition prep. Um, and then I had a dance mate, Niecie, who ended up going the year before I did. So that gave me like more insight to the team. And yeah, so I tried out, and I ended up making it, and the rest is history. Um, so yeah, as far as making the team, I was a captain. I mean, I was freshman in 2018. That was my
Mhm.
first year, and I danced all 4 years of college. I was captain the last two. So yeah, freshman. The next year I was leadership team. The next year I was captain, and the year after that I was captain.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how that journey, as far as dance, how did I get to the Divas? That's how that kind of climbed up. So yeah.
Okay. Well, from what you said before we continue on, being from Nashville and you being around Tennessee State University. Look, I'm going to say Texas Southern because I'm in Texas, my bad. So Tennessee State University, all right, as they like to call them, the real TSU. So what made you decide, and I know you said that team was different and you didn't know much about them, but what stuck out so differently from the Divas than Sophisticated Ladies? Because I've always loved the Sophisticated Ladies, even before, I guess, the rebranding of them. They were, to me, different, unique. They didn't look like other teams, especially from the swag. So, what really just stuck out that made you? I mean, outside of being in Nashville, and you may not want to stay in Tennessee, but outside of being, from Tennessee, what made you decide to go away when you had the sophisticated lady around?
So actually, I had been involved with the Sophisticated Ladies a little bit. I had a family member that danced on the team. I knew the coaches from, or alumni that were coaches,
Mhm.
um, from just being connected in the dance world. I mean, in Tennessee and in Nashville. Also, I would do like the summer camps that they would
Mhm.
hold. The band would hold like summer camps, and like you could come and like live the life of like a sophisticated lady for like a week. I think it's called like Edward L. Grave, something like that. I did that. And I mean, that was like TSU was my first love. So of course, Sophisticated Ladies was on my list, but I did not want to be in Tennessee. I
That
was
makes
trying
sense.
to escape. I was trying to escape, like, you know, I'm really the first person in my family that traveled out of state to go to college. So, that was really big for me, was just getting out of the state, but still being close enough that I can go home, some hit the fan.
Mhm.
So, really Alabama A&M checked off a lot. of things off my list as far as like having my major, being close but still being far, being an HBCU, being in the swag. Like it was just really location for me. And then, like I said, TSU, when you're from Nashville, like you grow up feeling like you go there because I mean it's one of the biggest HBCUs in Nashville. So everything is really connected to the city that they do. So I just wanted something different, you know. That's really it. I just have to get out of here.
I understand. And that gym battle you were talking about, I remember that gym battle. It's still one of my favorite gym battles of all time. It was just a different energy in that gym battle. I mean, we're used to the crank, but that battle that day, seeing PV versus A&M in that gym, that was a battle that people talked about for a while. And those are two bands that typically wouldn't get that battle energy, but they really were battling it out in the gym. And I've always loved Alabama A&M's band. I don't know why. I've always preferred them out of the Alabama bands. They were just always one of my favorites. I don't know. I just like them. I'm a band head, by the way. I played music. I then became a choreographer, but I played instruments originally. And so it's just been one of those things where, you know, that battle for me was one of my faves. And even looking at that battle, the style, in my opinion, as a spectator, the style of the Divas was still being defined. Because and tell me if I'm wrong, the Divas is not a very old team, correct? They're fairly new, right?
98.
Okay. So yeah, so their history is really in the making. Like you're still at the beginning forefront of that history for that team. So they're young compared to some of the other teams that have been out there. When you got onto Divas, or when you made it to the team, what expectations did you have of your journey? And did it meet your expectations?
Okay, so me, I'm a very open-minded individual. I tend not to go into things with like expectations because I don't want to get disappointed, and then I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, super surprised, like oh goodness, caught off guard. I just try to like, you know, see what's it gonna be. Now I will say, coming from what will be described as more of like studio based, as coming from a performing arts high school, the band culture, like true culture shock. Okay. I will say what I didn't expect was the militant culture. Don't breathe wrong culture. Okay. So that was a huge adjustment for me. I remember the first week I was like, I got my phone. I was like, Mama, I don't know about this. I mean, they so mean. The drum ain't so loud. I'm like, you know, it was for sure culture shock. But like I said, I didn't come into it expecting anything, so I was able to adjust like quick. But yeah, I would say that would have been the biggest thing my freshman year. I wasn't expecting anything, but when I got there, I was like, okay, so this is what this is, and this is new for me, but this is something that I want, so I'm gonna push through. If it was hard, everybody would do it. So I mean, if it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. So yeah, that's pretty much where my headspace was at in the beginning.
So coming into that militant space, as you said, do you now on the other side, do you feel like that militant mind frame or head or space from what the band brings, do you feel like that is necessary to be the programs that these bands are? Or do you feel like it could be without the militant? Because I know I've heard that debate a lot, the bands are so militant, but then some are not. But in my opinion, bands have always been based on military principles. Do you feel like it's needed, to grow and groom young individuals? I think sometimes people forget that especially on the collegiate level, that y'all are still young, fairly young. You know, people, once they get to college, y'all appear as grown women and women of statue, but y'all are still 18, 19, 20, whatever the case may be. So do you feel like that militant headspace has a place?
I actually do. I mean, the lessons that I learned from just being in an environment like that, I feel like will always be valuable and I will use the rest of my life. Even something as simple as being on time, um, and being on time early, um, and having to work out till you got snot running out your nose if you're late. So, like I do feel like, yes, it's rough, but the discipline that you gain from this type of environment is something that you carry with you for the rest of your life. Some of the principles, like little stuff, like not wearing your feelings on your sleeve, just like little stuff that comes from just the nature of these type of programs. I do feel like they equip you um, with the skills to like get through anything and still remain professional. So I will say that I do feel like it's necessary with like marching band style, HBCU style, like the militant, the discipline. I think it's all a part of, what these programs represent. So I feel like it's necessary.
Hey, that's a good answer because I agree. I actually appreciate the militant style of band culture. I think it really grows you, it grooms you, and it does help you to be more focused and more prepared, and just to take things seriously, not to kind of be lackadaisical in your decision making, because you that's a commitment, and you have to treat it as such. Also, my other question from something you said, and then we'll keep moving forward. Coming from the studio world and dancing mainly to recorded music or track music versus being in front of live music. Now that's a very big variation for a lot of people. And I've seen in my time frame that sometimes it's an adjustment for those who've never danced in front of a live band or a live instrumentation, or vice versa, those who are used to dancing live to translate to a track. It does require a different type of energy. How was that transition for you, and which one do you prefer now?
I will say band music, like being able to feel the energy of the live music behind you, it just really does something. Like I don't think anything can compare to that. I had a little bit of experience from it. Like I said, I was doing the
community teams,
band camps.
That's right.
The band camps with TSU, but we all young. It's nothing like a college band blowing behind you and you like feeling that, radiating that energy. I will say I do prefer live music after that, and it was like that was another part of the culture shock. I just remember being, oh my gosh, like this is, I don't know, so I'm overstimulated, I think. Like, but like I said, we adjusted very quickly. Another thing is like just dancing in the stands. That was something I had never done before. Like, you want me to dance that big in this little bitty space? That's something they don't talk about. Like, when I tell you my poor knees was bloody, like I couldn't, I had to like get in my head that like, you don't have that much space, honey. You gotta figure it out. But that was one of my issues that I really don't talk about, is just like feeling stable in that small space and still trying to, dance, pay attention, give like all the things in this small little space, without banging your knees up. So yeah, the whole dancing in front of the band, dancing in the stands, that was very new for me. And it took a lot of like, I used to dance like in a square in my dorm room just to practice like not moving too much. So yeah, just a little bit.
That's really good to hear you say, because a lot of times I think a lot of people take for granted the hard work it comes to really produce the showmanship that we see from the crowd's perspective point of view. You know, a lot of times I know when we do our reviews or our live conversations about stuff we're seeing now in football season, you know, we always try to take into account, okay, what kind of stands are those? Are those the ones with the push down chairs, or are they the regular, you know, traditional stands? Because it does make a difference. And I think you can tell when a team is holding back because the spacing is really, really tight. Not everybody has those nicer stadiums or newer stadiums where there's more spaced out. Some are still in those traditional cramped stadiums or in those stadiums with the fold down chairs. And it really makes it hard for y'all to execute a lot of the material that y'all make when you're sitting in folding chairs in a spacious room or however you practice. And so I think a lot of times that, you know, people forget to take that into account. So I'm really glad you hit that note, because that really speaks volumes that it takes a lot to prepare to be in that little box
Right.
and to dance big and to make your movement seen. Well, speaking of that, the style of diva that we see today, and I know I'll say this for myself, I can't, you know, speak for everybody. I think that you were a part of that pivotal moment that the Divas trajectory continued to go upward. They were definitely changing from the 2016 battle that you talked about earlier to your years, and even going forward. I feel like there was a trajectory swing that really, really happened that, in my opinion, defined the style of what diva is or what diva is now. I remember seeing them back in, oh Lord, I can't even remember the year, 14, 13, when they wore the all black leotard that was leather with the sunglasses and the shades. That I remember seeing them battle Tennessee State in Tennessee. I think it was at National High Stepping Battle of the Bands or something like that. I coached back then, and we were at that Battle of the Bands, and they were the two college bands they brought in to do, you know, the collegiate portion of it. And I remember seeing them, and I was like, man, I've never paid attention to this team a day in my life, but that uniform, the style, all of that, it just really captivated me. Like, it really stuck out, and they were fierce back in 2014, 2013. I mean, they really had this look about them that just really stuck out. In your words, can you tell me what is your definition, I guess, of a dancing diva? Like, what is that, if you could picture that in words?
So we do have a definition, like an acronym, but I'll keep it to what I think. I think personally a dancing diva is. Obviously a diva. When you hear that word, you know what, it's the sass, it's the attitude, it's the fierceness. But when you get deeper, because as you said, this is one of the teams a lot of people weren't checking for in the beginning, because of our later start, and us still finding evolving into that style, you know, years ago. It's resilience. You know, social media can be
Cruel.
very cruel, and like you said, people forget, like, we are people, we're young still. We have emotions. We, you know. So I'll say resilience. I'll say being a diva is really about a transformation. Our coach makes it very clear that she knows that we are not, you know, done. We made it. Once you made it on the team, it's not like you're done. That's like, it's just the beginning. Like, because some girls, they think, you know, I've been dancing in high school, I've been doing this, I've been doing that, I finally made a collegiate team, like, I made it, I'm here. But in our coach's eyes, she's like, you're just getting started, honey. You have an even bigger journey that you're about to go on. I think becoming a diva is really just becoming a young woman, who is about her business, who, you know, is just here to stay and here to make a name for themselves. Whatever you lack, where like my coach has this gift of like seeing where you lack and just knowing exactly how to get you where you need to be over the years. It's a different journey for everybody, to be honest, because everybody has strengths and weaknesses in different areas. But growth is huge in our program. Um, I'll say I'm very thankful for that, because for somebody to be able to pick out something in you that you didn't even think that you could make better and help you do that, she really has that gift, and she really makes sure that we just are making a transformation. So that's me being deep. But as far as Diva, it's the attitude, it's a lifestyle. I mean, we take care of business. Them grades still got to be where they need to be, or you're not dancing.
Oh, really?
So, oh yeah, you can't even make the team, really. And if they drop, you probably gonna be gone. But anyway, yes, she's very big on business first. So yeah, I feel like I was just talking in a lot of circles, but
no. You gave me a good answer. I love the
that
answer.
makes sense.
It makes sense. Keeping that in mind, I'm glad you said the academics. That's really, really important, because a lot of times it is a juggle, a balance to be able to balance school full time, going to band rehearsal, which if you're on scholarship or however, the money situation is handled out, if you're on a scholarship, that is like work almost. And if you're not on scholarship, it's still like work. So you're going there to do the business of what you signed up to be or committed to there. It's really good to hear you talk about the academic portion. We don't always get to hear about that. And the fact that your coach upholds y'all to keep a standard in your grade point average and your GPA, so that you cannot slack off due to rehearsals or whatever the case may be. You have to keep that. So that's really good. I won't dig into that too much. I wanted to quickly ask you, as you were on the leadership team your sophomore year and then transitioning into captain your junior and senior year, how was that journey as far as leadership? How do you feel like being a part of the leadership team evolved you? And I guess the other part of that question is, what was your impact that you left to the team?
So me personally, just like personality wise, I have always been like more of like a natural leader, which is why I think I got the position in the first place. I'm just type A. This look y'all. That's just me. So I think that actually having the title really helped me to just get, when you're on the team, you're on the team. But when you're on a leadership team or in a captain role, you get a lot more inside scoop. You get to know things earlier. It's just like, it put me in like mini administration role. Like, does that make sense? So there's plenty of us that are leaders anyway. But I think the actual appointed position really helped me to see like the background work and how does preparing for that or preparing for things and the background work coincide, getting the team together. I really think that being in that role prepared me for those type of things with captain, because like I said, I've always been a leader, but you just don't think about that extra stuff that goes into what else can I say? Now I can't remember exactly, but as far as my impact as leader that sophomore year, I think that I was on both the stand committee and the field committee, but I can be a little slow sometimes, so I didn't realize that I was on both. I thought that I was just on field committee. So when they kept asking me questions about stand committee, I'm like, why does everybody keep coming up to me asking me what I think about this? But yeah, so being in those positions really
Mm-hmm.
help the creative side, because that's pretty much what stand committee and field committee do. Is they really, we have these sessions where we're separate and we really are digging into new content, new ideas, what, what visuals can we put together. And that was really my main focus, was just trying to make something look like a movie, like
Mm-hmm.
um I'm really big on, like, I'm not looking at the 8 count. I'm looking at how do all the moving pieces of the 8 count look
Mm-hmm.
together. I was always a big picture person. Um, so I think that's really where my creativity started to like drive, which a lot of the newer content from those years stemmed from just being in those committees, doubling down, getting in the lab, and going to the drawing board, seeing what we can come up with, what can we warp, what can we change, what can we keep the same. Um, so yeah, a lot of creativity stimulated from being in those positions.
Okay. Now, stepping away from the band room for a second and talking about just your collegiate career, going through your Instagram and seeing all, some of the things you post and just kind of looking as I make sure to keep familiarize myself with some of your story,
Mhm.
the parts that I don't always know. But you graduated not only with one degree, but with a couple of certifications or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So how were you able to balance that? Because I don't know too many people that can do that personally. Like I know during my years of being in college, I graduated with 2 bachelors and a minor. That was a 5-year program. I did it in 3 years, So I graduated with a lot of hours. My one graduation maxed my hours out. You can do for financial aid at the time.
Mhm.
So I had like 150 something hours when I graduated. So that's crazy, right? And I did it in 3 years. So to hear you had, your bachelor's degree, 2 certifications, and I'm sure there's some other things I probably still don't know, as well as you pledged during that process. I mean, during your time there as well. So, like, how did you balance all of that? Like that's a key. Like, how do you balance all of
I get this question a lot, and I'm always like, God, I don't know. But I will say, like, things just have a way of like working out if they need to.
that?
Um, I will say, even though we hated COVID year, because I mean, look what it did to all the bands. We couldn't do nothing. Um, I'll say it gave me a lot of leeway
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do those things. So as far as that's really where a lot of the extra stuff came in, is because number one, I can't sit still. So like, we're not having practice, all these COVID restrictions, like I gotta do something.
Mm-hmm.
So I just absentmindedly started to pick up stuff, started to plan. It's all very strategic though. Like, so hair, I was already doing hair on campus when I could. Um so coming from a single parent household, I had to make sure I had some income coming from somewhere. And so being blessed to be able to do hair was really good for me, because I was able to, pick up some pick up in some areas where I was slacking. But I knew that I needed to be in a salon, because they don't want you doing hair in them dorms making money. So I'm like, let me go get this license so I can be in somebody's salon. So actually, my freshman year, one of the former divas, Crystal, um, she was one of the original divas. She owns a salon out there. I was being a shampoo tech out there for her whenever I could. She knows how Diva is, so she allowed me to come and do that for extra money. And then I eventually got my natural hair license at a school that's like literally on the same street as A&M. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Jacque State, and then that allowed me to be able to get in a salon and have my own hours, you know. So that was that, and then phlebotomy, and that was one of the certifications I got during the that 2020 weird COVID
Mm-hmm.
year, because also classes on campus were like more virtual. Like
Mm-hmm.
it just that year itself, it gave me a lot of leeway to do other things. And so I did phlebotomy because I knew I eventually wanted to go to PA school, which
Mm-hmm.
is a physician associate, which is a healthcare provider. It's similar to a nurse practitioner. We don't have as much autonomy, but you still treat, prescribe, assist in surgery. Um, anyway, so I knew I wanted to do that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and in order to get into those type of schools, you have to have some sort of clinical health medical experience. So I was like, okay, let me get my phlebotomy certification, which is just drawing and processing blood. Um,
Mm-hmm.
might be a little more depending on who you work for, but I was like, I'll get that and I'll work in that field, and then I'll have the hours to be able to apply for PA school. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the thought processes behind that. Um, and it wasn't bad. It was just a semester. So, and I mean, I think I had to be in class once a week, and most of it was online. So it just aligned with that year. As far as AKA, it was rough. Some stuff did clash. I had to miss my first performance. I was so sick. Okay,
That's why you wasn't at the first game.
was that what that was? I'm like,
I think the first year when the she's really pretty too, and she dances
Brianna.
the dark skinned
Brianna.
co-captain, I think, that year. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. Now her walk is fierce. I
Yes.
remember her. And I was like, wait, this ain't the girl they announced as captain.
She was one of my upperclassmen. So she was our only fifth year that year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, me, Jada, Kendall, we were not there. We were doing things. And so I was like, I was so sick. Like you can hear the band from everywhere on campus. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just listening to the band like about to cry because this is all I know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not over there. But yeah, it did clash for a second, but not much. You know, Granger not gonna let that happen too many times. But I will say so it was hard. But um I mean we made it work the best we could. Um so yeah, that's pretty much what I will sum it up to is that
Mm-hmm.
2020, the laxity of that year as a whole just opened up, you know, some space for me to get some other stuff done, which I'm actually thankful for because I wouldn't be where I am now if it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't for that year. So yeah, that's pretty
I
much it.
like how you found the blessing. We don't typically hear a lot of positive
Yeah.
regarding the COVID year, but you
Mhm.
make me feel like, well, man, look, let me go back and rethink my COVID year now. Like, what all happened? I mean, I didn't have a really bad one, but you just don't hear people refer to that time very positively. But to
Yeah.
hear you say, look at all the things I got done because of this,
Hmm.
that's really good. Okay, so speaking of you in today's current time,
Hmm.
you are currently in PA school, correct? Okay, and so where are you planning to go now into the future? Is dance any still part of your story somewhere in the future? Like, where do you see yourself, I guess, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, so I graduate from this program next December. Um, of course, I'll start working in my field. As far as exactly what specialty, I'm still deciding that.
Hmm.
Next year will help me decide that because it's completely clinical. So every 8 weeks, I'll be switching specialties, different hospitals, clinics, whatever, and different environments to see what I like. You know, is it pediatrics? Is it surgery? Is it women's health? So as far as the exact specialty I'll be going into, I don't know yet. Like I said, I'm very open-minded, so I like a lot of things. So once I get that hands-on experience next year, which is our clinical year is similar to like a residency, I'll be able to, really hone in on my strengths and what I like the best. As far as dance, I will always keep dance a part of my life, some sort of way. I am interested in potentially coaching a team, maybe,
You
maybe.
took the word right out of my mouth.
So I actually do have 1 year of coaching experience. I when I graduated from A&M, I ended up becoming assistant coach for East Nashville High School, their majorette team, which was really good experience. I really liked being in the assistant role because it was new for me. So, and I was with someone who's very experienced. It's actually one of my freshman sister's mom. So Carson, she owns the biggest black studio, dance studio in Nashville. Shout out to Miss Cindy. So yeah, being under her, I definitely was able to just get some insight of like like you said, the administrative roles, what's going on in the background, dealing with parents, just the real professionalism of it. So yeah, I really am grateful for that 1 year. And it did make me realize that I enjoy like the mentoring type of role. And then for Nashville specifically, like we don't have a lot of girls coming from high school dance teams, high school dance lines, making, collegiate teams. It's always the studio girls in Nashville that are making. So I feel like it should be a pipeline. Like, these coaches should be preparing high school dancers to make college teams. So that made me really want to like get in and give back. I'm kind of conflicted about that because I really don't want to be in Nashville anymore after I graduate. But yeah, that is one of my thought processes is just coming back in this coaching world. I don't know if I want to do like high school again or like a smaller college somewhere. I don't really know as far as that. I just know that I am interested in coaching. So we'll see. I still do like if people call me to do like dance conferences or teach a class or private training, like anything like that, I'll still do those things. But as far as future, I think I do want to be in that role. So we'll see where life takes us. If it's meant to be, it will.
So what I heard was, now she didn't say this, but what I heard was if a position is offered, you may oblige.
Maybe, we got what that healthcare system is looking like in whatever area it is, because at the end of the day, career. And then dance, like it always feels like a hobby to me. I just love it so much. I don't want to give it like a job title. So career first, and if it aligns, it aligns.
Gotcha. Well, down to my last question or questions. We've kind of walked through your time and who you are, your college years, and then where you're going. We always like to try to pour into our viewers, because we do have some younger viewers that watch us as well, and just give them advice. We always want to get advice, real life advice. So in your own, and I'm not going to frame it for you, but what advice would you give just in general, whether it be life, dance, collegiate? What advice would you have for the little girl or boy that's out there that's wanting to, go on the professional or collegiate side or anywhere? Where would you give them?
I would say, like I've stated plenty of times already in this interview, is to be open-minded. Be open and be an open book and be able to receive. I'll say, as far as this HBCU dance and band world, it's a lot different from anything I think any of us have experienced before we get to that point. So, trust in the process. Obviously, for the most part, these people who are band directors, coach sponsors, whatever, they've been doing this for years. So they know what they're doing. You chose this team, you chose to try out this team for a reason. So trust, the process. I'll say specifically for HBCU dance lines, girls, you need to get your technique up. I will say majority of these teams, the technique is it's getting up there. It's getting up there. Get in some technical classes, get in some jazz, and train. You want to try out for these teams because it's getting to a point now where if you don't have technique, you're probably not going to make the teams. I'll also say if you don't make a team, do not give up. Really listen to the feedback that they give you. Reach out for feedback after, via email or whatever. If you don't make a team because, it just may not be the right timing. It doesn't mean that it'll never happen. Exhibit A, one of my cheerings, Maddie, who was just captain, she didn't make it the first time.
Oh, wow.
And she made it the second time and then ended up being captain. So, that's a prime example of it. It just may not be the right timing. So trust God, trust the process. Don't give up. Be open. Get that training in. And when you also make these types of teams, remember why you're there. If you love to dance, act like you love to dance. And if you find yourself not liking it anymore, take a step back and really evaluate yourself because mental health is important. I had I'm not gonna say bad habit. I really am not emotional when it comes to like business. Like I separate, and everybody doesn't have that skill. So a lot of times I would put my feelings and emotions in real life and what's going on back home in the back burner. And then it would kind of catch up to me like when I was least expecting it. So make sure you're listening to your body, listening to yourself. But still remember why you are here. You're here because you love to dance. You're not here because what the fans say. You're not here because hopefully you're not here because your mama said you gonna dance when you get to college. Hopefully you're there because you really want to be, but just constantly reassess. Make sure your head is in the right space, and yeah, be teachable. No coach doesn't want a combative, closed-minded, student. So, like I said, they know what they're doing. So, sometimes you just gotta adjust to the culture of the program. But yeah.
All good advice. I know I've said this many times, but I always tell people, especially like girls that I've helped to make collegiate teams out there, or have worked with, or have coached at some point who've made a collegiate team. I always tell them, today in auditions you may be the best in the room. Tomorrow you could be the worst. The different level of talent with each audition season changes. And you never know. One year, as you said, it might not be your time, but in that particular group, you're going against the best of everybody's team that's trying out. The next year, the best may not be better than you. So it just depends on the day. So I'm really glad you tapped that button there, because I think people get so shut up or shut down by, I didn't make it this year, they didn't want me. But it's not, I didn't want you. Were you ready for the journey we were about to go? Because they know how much time they have to prepare. They may have saw the potential in you, but they may not have been able to think they could prepare you in the amount of time given. Or maybe the spots were just limited. I got 5 spots, 7 of y'all are great, but I got to go with 5.
Exactly.
So you never know what the final decision in the audition process, came down to. But with that being said, look, You have been amazing. I'm so glad I was finally able to connect with you for this. I know we've chatted behind the scenes for a little while, but to connect with you, and I hope we'll see connecting in that other way we talked about in the future. Because look, I ain't giving hope up yet. I'm not giving up hope yet, but I know you got to get what you went to, what you're doing now, out the way, and I want to make sure you get that first because that's important. That's your moneymaker. So look, thank you so much. I hope that you got to see a side of her, but also know her and to also understand her passion and her wants, and that you got to hear her organically talk. None of this was rehearsed or planned. Like I told her, we're just gonna have an organic conversation, and I just like it that way because it comes from the heart. With that being said, Neicie, I thank you so much for this interview. And thank you for taking time to talk with us. No problem. Thank you for taking time to talk with us and to share your thoughts and just to give us a little bit of your journey about being a diva, because honestly, like I said, you were part of that trajectory of the Divas, and they are definitely leaving a mark in the field now. They're a team to be reckoned with, and totally different, in my opinion, than that 2016 team that you spoke of earlier. Last thing, and I'm done.
Okay.
The gloves. I meant to ask this earlier. The gloves. So what is it about the gloves in Divas? Because we know, of course, the dolls wear gloves, and I know that the Crimson Piper Reds of Tuskegee wear gloves. What made the gloves become what made the gloves become a normal piece of your attire?
So to be honest, historically, I'm sure it was told to us before, but I'm not remembering what year or what event said we're wearing gloves now.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is that when I got there, they wore gloves, and so we wear gloves. And I know the comparisons, they happen all the time, especially because like historically, some things. But I mean, who invented gloves? Because I don't think it was anybody that in a SWAC team. So, it's a glove. It's okay. I know that I think that my coach likes how it adds to the cleanliness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will say, like, with gloves and without gloves, it's just like, it's like this cleanliness thing that we're always seeking is for it to look clean.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of like brings it all together, brings it all uniform. But yeah, I mean, if I find out the history, I'm sending you a good old text. But,
I'm just thinking. I'm like, I knew they wore them in 2014 when I saw them in the all black leotard. That I remember them, but I think they had on black gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And now historically, y'all wear the all white gloves pretty much with everything for the most part. It's mostly white.
I think if it's breast cancer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just it's just a part of uniform now.
I just was curious to what was the glove decision about, because like I said, y'all are one of few teams that do it, but just what made that become a part of your uniform. But neither here nor there. I meant to ask that earlier. I'm so out of character. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. We said we would stick to a time frame, so thank you so much. I again appreciate you, and good luck on your journey. And this will be the last you hear from me. I promise you it won't.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Thank you. All right, y'all. That again was Miss Neicie. And again, she's from the Divas. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this podcast and continuing to support us, and to also listen to the stories of those who are willing to share their stories. Don't forget to go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment to Passion in Performance Facebook page, Instagram, and YouTube, where you can continue to catch all of our content, as well as you can go over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and search for State of the Auxiliary, and you'll find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify there. As I'm getting ready to go ahead and close out, again, y'all keep Quay up in your prayers, because she is continuing to recover from catching a little cold or flu or something. But continue to cover her in your prayers. As we leave today, I want to leave you with a little video of what you kind of saw of the grasp of in the flyer. And so that'll be our close today. And we'll be back on Sunday with week 3 review of the 24th season. So y'all Again, I will see and talk to y'all later. Deuces.
Is in the building.